A top advisor to Pope Francis has admitted the Catholic Church made enormous mistakes, allowing thousands of children to be raped and abused by priests. Cardinal George Pell testified via video link from near the Vatican to an Australian inquiry into alleged sex abuse cases that happened decades ago. From Rome, Claudia Lavanga reports.
Taking the witness stand on the other side of the world. On Sunday night, Cardinal George Pell answered questions by a sex abuse commission in Sydney from Rome via video link. Now in charge of the Vatican economy, Pell was a senior priest in his native Ballarat and later the Archbishop of nearby Melbourne from the 1970s to the 90s, when tens of children were abused by priests. The commission wants to know whether he knew and why he didn't do anything about it. Pell said he was too unwell to travel to Australia to face the commission in person, a claim that sparked widespread outrage and a crowdfunding campaign that raised more than $150,000 in a week to cover travel expenses to Rome for 15 survivors.
We're not here to intimidate him or anything, but he's got to look at our faces, the ones who have been damaged by the clergy.
I would love to see George Pell stand up and say, we got this wrong. We didn't handle this well, but we can do better now. You know, we can help the victims now.
At 11 years old, David Ridsdale was abused by his uncle, a priest who has since been convicted of 80 counts of child abuse. He was the first survivor to speak out in 1993. He says Cardinal Pell knew both him and his abuser.
Cardinal Pell, well, he was Bishop Pell then, had been a family friend. I'd known him since I was a child, and he was the bishop of where I was living, so I called him in the hope that he could help me in some way. He said to me, "What will it take to keep you quiet?"
Cardinal Pell will give evidence once a day at least until Wednesday. He's not facing criminal charges, but should the Abuse Commission rule that he either ignored or protected abusers, then his position as Vatican Chief of Economy could become untenable. Claudio Lavanga, Al Jazeera, Rome.
Well, joining us live from London is Jack Valero, the founder of Catholic Voices. Good to have you with us. What do you make of the position and the stance taken here by the Catholic Church? Have they done enough to clear up this problem?
Well, I think it's very good that there is a Royal Commission and that Cardinal Pell is reporting to it. The Church is keen to get to the truth, so I think that we must get to the truth. It's a long time ago, but this commissions investigate what happened then, and we can get to it. There seem to be two sets of people who are very opposed. On the one hand, there are those people who say that Cardinal Pell didn't do enough as a priest or as a young bishop. But then there's another whole other group who say that he was the first one to do something, who set up the guidelines in Melbourne as soon as he arrived, that he was part of the solution, not the problem. And so I think it's really important that the thing is brought out into the open and discussed, and the truth is found. And whatever the truth is, then we go with it. In the Church, we're very keen on three things. Catholics are very keen that this abuse should never happen again, that perpetrators and their enablers should be punished, and that victims should be compensated. So I think we should work towards getting these three things.
Do you think enough has changed in order to ensure that the past policy of trying to deal with this inside the Church, especially when it comes to punishing perpetrators, that policy doesn't continue going forward?
Of course. I think a lot has changed. I mean, there's a huge awakening in the Church and in the whole of society, as we are seeing in different areas as these problems are exposed. The Church itself has, I know the situation in the UK, for example, where very tough guidelines have been put in place and have become really the gold standard for other institutions. The government said so. That I think being ahead of the curve, because we found this problem right at the beginning, we can help others as well. But that's in terms of putting in place guidelines and making sure that if anybody carries out any abuse, he's immediately found out and dealt with. But of course, this is all work in progress. And as far as victims are concerned who are unhappy with the system, well, for as long as they are unhappy, we haven't done enough. Of course, we need to keep going.
What needs to be done, do you think, then, for those victims who've suffered the abuse, some of the terrible stories of rape and abuse that, you know, if you admit that, or you say not enough has been done, what needs to be done towards them?
Well, I think it's for them to say, really. I mean, they're the ones who are hurt. I mean, they should be compensated and helped as well. And, of course, the abuse, when it happened, must be admitted. And the past must be looked at. And this is happening with all the commissions that the Church itself has asked for, all the investigations that are being carried out. And it's happening in other parts of society too, in schools, in media, among celebrities. So there is a move in the whole of society to look at this, to bring things out into the open, even though they happened a long time ago. The Church is very keen for this to happen, so that justice is done. And as far as the victims are concerned, well, maybe not enough has been done, you know, to help them, but it's really for them. And once they know that they're being looked after, they will say, well, things are much better now, and then we will know that we've got there.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on. Let's return to our top story.